This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Rob Gronkowski from Dudes on Dudes. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You can stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you can spice things up and try some unexpected pairings like dipping chicken wonton tacos in our honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Talk about stepping up!
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
This is your keep the pellet gun in your holster leader fan radio network.
Tweet that.
And KFAN.com. 1 minute and 48 seconds past the hour of 3 o'clock Central Daylight Saving Time. Welcome back. It is a truncated Monday edition of the Bumper to Bumper program. Essentially, the pregame show to the pregame show that will start at 5 o'clock on what we like to call, lovingly, the Vikings Audio Network. My name is Dan Barreiro. I work in audio, sometime in video, not that much, though. And once upon a time, worked in print. But that was a long time ago. Guardsy's the producer of the show and 2-time state high school tennis champion as well. And we're delighted that you are along for this ride today, which, as I mentioned, will largely serve as do we decide if it was primer or primer? Whatever it is, it's the pregame to the pregame as the Vikings open what's been a fascinating opening weekend of the National Football League season against the Chicago Bears, Windy City, no bear weather. That much is clear. Comfortable temperatures. I don't think any threat of rain at all. And maybe that's what we're looking for. Maybe those are exactly the kinds of conditions we're working for. We've won, is it 5 straight at Soldier Field or 6? I think it's 5.
I think it's 5 is what I heard.
And we have a chance tonight to make it 6. When you grew up, it was a house of horrors.
It was.
For even good Minnesota Vikings teams, not so much lately. So does that continue tonight, or do the odds now tell us that sooner or later, blind acorn squirrel, the Bears are likely to break through at home? And already plenty at stake in the division. Green Bay Packers, dominant performance over the defending champion Detroit Lions. More on that later. A lot more on the Sunday night game, which probably will go down as one of the great regular season finishes, literally, in the history of the National Football League. It was dramatic.
Did you stay up for it, or did you find out this morning?
No, I did stay up for it.
I found out this morning.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So you gave up on it?
Yeah, I went to bed.
Over.
Yeah, I went to bed.
There's a lot to get to regarding that story, and I think a direct line between that game and exactly why the National Football League is undefeated and so far ahead of any of the other major professional sports when it comes to popularity and interest in the United States of America, maybe even Canada as well. I don't know. Maybe the world. Who's to say? A guest lineup today. We got 2. We have both of them filing live reports from the Windy City. Peter Bursich is scheduled to join us from the booth at 4:30 at Soldier Field. And I think we're going to get Ben Leber next segment before he even leaves for Soldier Field.
Right before he gets on the bus.
That's it. So Leber early, Peter Bursich late. You have questions, hit the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. That number, of course, is 64686. And as we all know, Guardsy, Tim Brewster told us.
You're not going to slay the bear with a pellet gun.
No, the pellet gun ain't going to work against. You could argue there were seasons in which a pellet gun was plenty for the Bears to slay the bear because the Bears were that bad. And you say, yeah, you can get them with a pellet gun. Believe it or not, no longer. At least that's what the Bears want to believe, right? With the new head coach, new ideas, with it and wow, etc. It is worth noting. I know there's a lot of people with fear and loathing regarding the Vikings injury report because we now know that it's official. Harrison Smith is out.
Right.
I guess the left tackle is still listed as questionable.
Yep.
I don't know what to think. Half the time I listen to quotes from the head coach and I think they're going to sit him. And then half the time I think, well, no, they're going to play him because they know they need him. Who's to say? But it is worth reminding folks who are concerned, because that would be obviously a huge loss at left tackle. It's going to be a loss at safety, if nothing else, for just experience, continuity, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm telling you, from an injury, if I'm doing the injury report game, I think Vikings fans, frankly, should be encouraged because the Bears injury report is lengthy and should be quite concerning if you happen to be a fan of the Monsters of the Midway. Jalen Johnson, likely out. I don't think he's officially out, but a lot of people think he's their best cover guy, right?
Yep.
Kyler Gordon is one of those all-around guys that he's active, right? He's questionable. And I think the guy who's even more likely to be out, in fact, Schefter said he wasn't sure if either of those players, Gordon or Johnson, would even suit up for the game. That's not a good sign for the Bears. But the one that's flying under the radar is the linebacker, TJ Edwards, who has a hamstring injury. And I don't know what his official designation is, but what I'm reading out of Chicago is he's the least likely of the injured Bears to play. And he's definitely a key to their run defense. That's the cue for KOC to go, we got another reason to try to see if our new and improved running game really is new and improved. So my point is that, yeah, there's questions regarding who's out for the purple, but the Bears have their own issues. Those are all significant players. If two of the three are out or all three are out, I would still put advantage Vikings, even with the Vikings injuries that we have heard about. I don't know if there's anything more, if there's any more detail or any fresher news regarding the availability of any of these players. Do you have anything?
No, at this point, it'll be the 90-minute medical minute, the inactives,
yes,
the whole bit. That would be my guess. Because we are so close to kickoff, I think it's usually 90 or so minutes before kickoff is when they announce it officially. But, yeah, the Shefty leaks today, or the Shefty steam today, did appear very problematic for the Bears.
No question.
That perked me up this morning while I was watching Get Up or whatever I was watching.
I think it's being underplayed locally for sure. And we've tried to not underplay the conditions of the field. And apparently your guy, Chris Hockey,
boots on the ground,
had tweeted out some video. You sent one of the things he has sent out and it's the classic scene we always see out of Chicago, Illinois, Soldier Field. It's a bunch of rubes with these, what would you call the instruments they have?
I don't even know. They're like blunting the grass.
Like blunting, trying to pat it down, like harden it down into the rest of the turf.
I've never even seen that.
And well, we've seen it there.
Yeah.
That's the amazing thing. That image we have seen year after year because, again, Swallows Capistrano. It's before the start of the season. Soldier Field, Chicago Park District wants to make its money, and they have as many concerts with as many people, in this case, 250,000 people over the last 5 concerts, basically destroy the turf. Then they say, no problem, we got the new turf, we're going to put it in. But it never takes. It rarely takes, put it that way.
It can't take.
Will it take any better? Maybe it's Colorado sod this time. I don't know. But it's another sneaky part of the story, which we tried to warn you about several days ago, that now I'm beginning to believe might, again, be a factor on the basis of what Chris has sent out. I think he was also going to go down to the field.
Which he did. He sent me some other videos. We'll see if he posts them as well. I'm going to say this, and it might put me in PST, but I will contest it if I do get entered for this. Have you ever laid sod before?
No.
I have.
I've done this, like seed in a couple of spots. I've never laid sod, no.
I have. I've done the tilling and the preparation, and whether it was in the backyard or the front yard, I can confidently say my seams, Guardsy's seams,
better than these,
look better. If you were to take a video like Hawk did from our back deck down to our backyard, my seams would have looked better than what Soldier Field looks like right now.
Now, the assumption is this would be an advantage to the Bears. I don't know that that's necessarily true.
I don't know if you want to believe the conspiracy.
It's what's an advantage for? Crappy, dangerous football.
Yes.
And none of that is helpful, given it's a Monday night game. I'm confounded constantly. This league seems to take care of so many things because it's such a multi-billion-dollar operation. But when it comes to turf, whether it's Soldier Field or, hell, last year, the game in Brazil, it was a big issue. I don't know if it was as much this year. And you go, well, you don't have people who can, ride herd over this nonsense? And to a certain extent, in Chicago, you can't, because you can't tell. The NFL, as powerful as it is, can't tell Chicago you can't make all the money you make on these concerts, or the Park District, right before the season starts. And that, I think, kind of makes it inevitable. Even if they have competent people, it just doesn't add up that you have any real chance to have a legitimate field for your, Monday night national television opener. So all those are factors, I think, worthy of consideration. Later in the show, we're going to go over some of the rules changes that maybe you've forgotten about, maybe you didn't know about in the first place, and even some rules emphasis changes now that we are, at the dawning of the start of the Vikings regular season. We know everybody else has played, but the Vikings and Bears have not until tonight. So all of that is on the table, and we'll include texts as well. We have a remarkable done-as item to get to. We've got a calendar of calamity entry that will be part of the broadcast as well. I might, quite possibly, for the second consecutive day, issue the same bumper-to-bumper seal of approval for the same Minnesota Twins pitcher, even though I don't think he has said anything new. But I'm so captivated by his words that I might give him a second shot at it, even if he's not asking for any of it. So a busy show between now and 5. We'll come back and check in with Ben Leber, already in Chicago. Nacho.
Hey, it's Brian Christopher. Ready to chill this summer? You're in luck. I'm hanging out at Chumba Casino, and you're in for a treat. Chillax with hundreds of games, daily bonuses, exciting spins, and epic prizes. It's all here, always free to play. Kick back, have fun, and head to ChumbaCasino.com. Let's make this summer legendary.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See T&Cs. 21 plus.
Life moves fast. A new home, a new baby, a new chapter. But without an estate plan, your future's still vulnerable. With Trust and Will, you can name guardians, start a trust, create healthcare directives, and more. All online in about an hour. It's attorney-designed, state-specific, and built to protect what you love. Plans start at just $199, and every plan is safe, secure, and kept completely private. From families with young kids to adults caring for aging parents, Trust and Will makes it simple to take control, without a law office, paperwork stress, or court delays. Go to trustandwill.com and use code RADIO to save 20%. Start your plan today. Don't wait for life to force your hand. Estate planning is one of the smartest, most loving things you can do. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
This is Rob Gronkowski from Dudes on Dudes. Anyone else feeling hungry? Because Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You can stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, mozzarella sticks and marinara, or brew pub pretzels and white cheddar beer cheese. Or you can spice things up and try some unexpected combinations like dipping chicken wonton tacos in their honey Dijon mustard. The choice is yours. The Ultimate Trio is the perfect way to hit all your cravings in one plate and turn appetizers into an entree. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
Talk about stepping up.
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
Is next. Pete Bursich from the press box, from the box, from which he will be broadcasting along with the project, the Vikings season opener. All the action on the Fan. I think kickoff is scheduled for 7:15, 7:20, right in there. Pregame show, 5. This is the pregame show to the pregame show. Nacho Lieber is either about to get on the bus or on the bus now, headed to historic Soldier Field. He now joins us via the Connecticut Water Systems Hotline. And, of course, Ben is brought to us by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company. Ben, are you already on the bus?
No.
All right.
Nope.
Let me ask you this.
Thankfully, JG, we kind of planned this thing before I got on the bus, so it's nice and quiet for you.
Do you have, near the team hotel, could you find either a hardware and or garden store? Is that unlikely?
Probably not. Not in the area that we're in right now.
Well, that's unfortunate because what you really need to do is try to find one and see if you can purchase a tamper. We learned earlier that a tamper is what several jamokes at Soldier Field are using, trying to pound the turf down into the rest of the grass so that it appears that it's all nicely attached, when apparently it isn't. By all accounts, we could have another Soldier Field condition nightmare story. Just be prepared. It's a possibility.
Yeah, I was privy to that information as well from one Chris Hockey, who took some great videos for us. And yeah, sounds like when we put all the stories together, new sod and turf was laid down last week because of all the concerts that they love to have at that stadium.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate where the quality of the Bears playing surface kind of lies within the Chicago sports scene, because they apparently don't care. They want to bring concerts and revenue into that stadium all the way leading up to the biggest game of the opening weekend. So, I think that's going to be a factor in this game if guys don't have any footing, and if you might see actual sheets of turf being rolled up as guys cut around.
Now, the good news, I guess, is I don't think there's any threat of rain where it could get obviously a lot worse. You've played. How many games did you play in your career at Soldier Field, would you say?
Well, 5 years. Okay, so, at least 5.
Yeah, at least 5. So do you remember any misadventures in that regard in particular related to turf conditions? Because I don't think they've always been awful for whatever reason. It seems like it comes up, more there than it does other stadiums for the reason you just laid out. They have the Chicago Park District, I think, is really technically still largely in charge of the stadium stuff, and they want the concerts, and we just had, I think, 5 Oasis concerts with 250,000 people clomp through. Do you remember any weird turf incidents or awareness as you're getting ready to play that it's not exactly an ideal condition?
Well, early in the season, they always kept the grass. We were told, and this is like getting into the tinfoil hat stuff, but they left the field conditions, the grass long on purpose.
I remember that.
Everybody else down.
I remember that.
And so I do remember coming early in the seasons, and we're like, yeah, this grass is a little longer than you'd think or you want it to be. And, I don't know. I don't understand the theory behind that because it's not like the Bears practice there and they're used to it. So when they step on the field on Sunday too, it's long for them as well. But psychologically, it sounds like they wanted to give the visiting team, a little something to think about. And, I got to say that of all the turfs that I've played on, though, we're lucky that we don't play in the AFC West because the Arrowhead Stadium turf is the worst.
Is that right?
It's hands down the worst turf as the season goes along because they kind of do the same thing. A lot of multi-use. They have it seems like they have high school games there, college games, and all this other stuff. And then by the end of the season, it's just spray painted dirt. It's just dirt that they spray paint. You'll have, green spray paint on your pants. You'll have red spray paint all over your jersey. It looks good on TV, but there's virtually no grass on that field.
Lovely. That's just outstanding. Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. Maybe it won't be as much. I think some games it has stood out even after the game more than others, and maybe it won't in this case. But it looks awful. What Chris sent out, and you could see, like I said, these guys with these tampers that somebody has texted that it's also a tool used on a baseball mound or home plate to compact the newly added, the new dirt to fill the holes in after a ball game. And here it's just to try to compact everything and to make it seem like it's more unified with the rest of the turf on the field. So another thing to be concerned about that might well affect, not give either team necessarily an advantage, but you'd like to think you got a multi-billion-dollar operation, obviously. And so you just want to see players have the best chance to perform. I'm not sure we're necessarily going to see that tonight. I mentioned Leber earlier that as much fear and loathing as there's been over the Vikings injury report, the Bears injury report, I think, if you're a Bears fan, should be even more concerning because the latest I saw, and I don't know if you have any new, updated info, Jalen Johnson, who's their best cover guy, probably out. Kyler Gordon might be out, very active player. And the linebacker, is it Edwards? He's, I think, most likely to be out is what I have read. TJ Edwards, and I think he's got a lot to do with leading their run defense. So that also, those are all pretty significant injuries for the Bears as well.
Yeah, and if I understand it correctly, I think Kyler Gordon's backup is also on the injury report as well. So they might have to get really creative when it comes to who their nickel's going to be. Just outside of obviously on their starting cornerback. And then having, Ruben Hippolyte, it's going to be the rookie linebacker, probably step in along with Sewell, who'll step in probably on third down. Sewell's probably more of a third down type of guy that can play in space a little bit. Hippolyte's probably more of a downhill guy. But, all that being said, I thought going into the week that an area that we could really take advantage of is their inside linebackers and pass coverage. They're not known to be great coverage guys. I know sometimes, we go into these games wanting to expose some guys and it doesn't always work out, but, why not take historical perspective and say, well, if we've got a pretty athletic tight end, we've got athletic backs that can catch out of the backfield, why don't we find ways to single those guys up on these linebackers and see if we can make some plays? Not everything has to go through Justin Jefferson. Not everything has to go through, Adam Thielen or something like that. Use our weapons against their weaknesses. And if they have injuries with Edwards and he's out and you're going to have basically two very inexperienced linebackers in there as well, yes, on some very critical third downs, why not look to those guys? And it's really going to probably alter how they double and how they bracket Justin Jefferson. So hopefully, if you add up all those injuries, I think they have bigger issues to worry about than we do.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Leber on his way, or soon will be on his way to Soldier Field for his part of the Vikings Audio Network coverage. All the action again on the Fan tonight pregame show at 5:00. Let me ask you what I hope will be a very nuanced defensive question for you. ESPN is making quite a production earlier of saying that one of their crews that Ben Johnson's goal is to be in Caleb Williams' ear as long as he legally can to try to help him through the various machinations, I guess, of what's supposed to be a pretty complicated offense. Now, we know the Vikings are masters at disguising coverages and even changing coverages of their own at the last minute. Does any of that flexibility change, or does it become any more limited without Harrison Smith on the field?
Well, first of all, I think it's going to be I think every coordinator tries to, I wouldn't doubt if KOC tries to do the same thing. Get the call in as quick as possible, go through some of the checks and some of the alerts before they cut everything off at 17 seconds or 15 seconds or something?
17,
something like that.
Right, yeah.
So there is a cutoff period. And even if Chicago's lined up and they're facing the line of scrimmage, every defense disguises things. I'm going to find it very, very hard to imagine that on a consistent basis they're going to be able to be in his ear, go through a lot of stuff. But certainly during the huddle call, I'm sure there's going to be some alerts to look out for that he can hear. Now, with Harrison out, of course, so much of the disguise package I think only he can do. It seems like he runs a marathon at the end of every game with all the up and down, the yo-yos at the line of scrimmage, all the way back to the deep center field and back and forth. And, the way that he can kind of change his alignments but still get to the right spot. We just don't know if Theo can do that. And how does everything sort of work with Metellus? Is Metellus going to have to sort of be that second safety, or are we going to bring somebody else in to be that third safety, and that way Metellus can kind of rove around and be that in the box player? So I'm sure they've got a plan. I think that we all, I think it's safe to say that it probably won't be as executed as well as having Harrison Smith in there, but we still have a lot of guys up front that can make plays.
If Darrisaw can't go, what does that do? How can obviously he's considered a top 5 tackle, so it's got to hurt. It would hurt any team that has a very good established tackle. Who goes, and what does it have? Do you think it has any meaningful impact on the approach that the Vikings take against the Bears defense?
Well, I don't know. I don't think it's going to have a huge impact, because I think that the best way to get after these guys is kind of the pull scheme in the run game, and that's getting sort of our guard-centered guards to get out in space a little bit. Now, it probably will affect if we're doing some wide receiver screens that I think can be there with as much man coverage as they play. So that does involve getting tackles out in space. But I think as far as getting a run game going, it won't really matter too much not having Darrisaw in there. And then to play off of that, I think some of the deep shots that we can take is going to go off of some of that play action stuff. And so I do think the play action part of that sort of helps out the whole offensive line, so they don't have to sit there and block for, a 7-step drop and scan and go through your progressions. I think a lot of things will kind of just help out the totality of the offensive line. So, yeah, is there peace of mind having Darrisaw in there? For sure. Protecting that blind side. I think every quarterback, young or old, would love to have that comfort. But I think for this game plan, I don't think it's going to matter too much.
Let me ask you about we now know that the Vikings have 2 running backs. The assumption is you're going to see plenty of both of them. In your experience, based on what you've seen, what's the biggest difference in style between what Jones represents at his best and what Jordan Mason does?
I think Jordan is a guy that probably runs a little bit cleaner and better behind a blocker or two. It would be, not having CJ Ham in there with his running style, I think kind of affects some of the play calls they're going to make. And that's why I think there's going to be some pulling schemes, and he can run behind some of these big offensive guards and centers. With Aaron Jones, I think that, that's much more of a stretch cutback type of runner, kind of like what we saw with Dalvin Cook, where he does use a smaller frame to kind of squeeze through some of those tight seams, make a play where it looks like there's not a play to be made. So definitely 2 different types of running styles. But when you talk about, what Jordan did last year, what all the guys talk about in preseason is, don't fall asleep on the fact that this guy has some good footwork, and he's got a little wiggle to him. He's not just a straight north-south runner. He can actually go a little east and west, and we know by his stats he breaks a lot of tackles. So he doesn't give the tacklers great angles to attack him. So he's very savvy, very shifty, but not quite the shiftiness of Aaron Jones.
When you think of, obviously the Bears have Dennis Allen now running their defense, so what stylistically, when you find out that somebody's got, Dennis Allen's running the defense, what distinguishes that? What's the Dennis Allen style of defense, at least in theory, whether or not he has the players to implement what he wants?
Well, a lot of too high safety look. So it's always going to look like there's two high safeties before the snap. And then he loves to invert those safeties into different coverages. And they do a lot of what we call just a robber technique, where one of the safeties will come down and you're sort of robbing that intermediate middle part of the field between the hashes, that 12 to 15 yards. And it's a late movement. So it's always happening after the snap. So I think for McCarthy, it's going to be, how much do you want to risk throwing the ball over the middle of the field, knowing that it's going to change dynamically once the ball is snapped? And is he at a point now in his young career where he can see that and anticipate that, and then throw the ball on target and accurately away from some of those inverted receiver or those inverted safeties? I don't know. I tend to think that for this game, given what Allen likes to do, maybe just stay away from some of those situations and stay away from throwing between the hashes. And that's why, having Jalen Johnson not out there to kind of lock down the corners, because they do play he likes a lot of man coverage with all that. So if you can attack more outside the numbers, out cutting routes, stay away from those safeties that are roving around, then I think that's probably your best play. And that's kind of where I think that we will attack them, is if we do run some tight end stuff or some slot stuff, it's going to be outbreaking towards the numbers and towards the sidelines. I just don't think that you want to mess around with some of that messiness in the middle of the field.
Did you know that the Vikings have won 5 in a row at Soldier Field?
I know. I heard that as well. And I think, I remember winning the game last year, and I heard that. I'm like, really? It seems like, I don't know why it is. It seems like we don't win here, right. But that's obviously historically that's not the case.
Yeah, it's an interesting, because there have been some horror stories, but they go further back, and maybe that says something about the Bears as much as the Vikings as well. Have a wonderful call tonight. I hope you have brought special shoes too, because I don't want you affected by the turf on the sidelines. Last thing we need is for you to have an injury as the sideline reporter.
Yeah, no, thanks. I'm definitely going to think about that. I'll just make sure that I have no hard cuts, and I kind of tempo right behind my blockers as well.
Hey, by the way, a source did. I know you got to get moving here, but a source did text early suggesting that I should ask about a bowl that you consumed. Was it Sunday night? Is there something you can confess to us? Was there no?
From a few years back.
This was several trips. A couple years ago.
Okay. I misunderstood the text. Okay.
Yeah. No, let's just say there was a pot of hot pho or ramen that I had that did not hit the old GI tract the right way.
Yeah, that can happen. That's it's a bad feeling when you lose when you lose all control, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. There was no disaster. I made it. But
that's
I
all that
stay away
matters.
from Chicago hot pot as much as I can.
I think that's a very wise choice. Thanks again, Ben. We'll chat next week. Be good.
All right. Have a good one. See ya.
Ben Leber, brought to you by Sierra Nevada Brewing Company, with a nice preview of what we might expect this evening. He is already in the Windy City, about to get on the bus to head towards Soldier Field, where the Vikings will take on the monsters of the Midway, the Chicago Bears. In addition, we should mention that in about a little less than an hour, Pete Bursich will join us from, by then he will already be in Soldier Field, from the visiting press box, one could say, or the broadcast booth from which he and PA will be giving us all the details necessary regarding tonight's game. A couple of texters I think are confused because they're going, hey, look, man, this stadium, the turf issue, the head coach, KOC, already put this to bed. He dismissed it. He did the old, both teams are playing under the same conditions. And if you want to just ignore the conspiracy theory part, historically about whether the Bears have tried to use it to their advantage, I'm not here to suggest that necessarily the Bears would have some huge edge tonight if the field's crappy. This is just more for both teams. It's just the concept of a game, an opening game. I'm not dismissing the KOC approach is probably the approach he has to take and should take as the head coach. I'm not saying great advantage or disadvantage. I'm just saying it's bad for everybody if indeed the field prevents players from making a lot of the plays or the moves that we're ordinarily like to think that they make. That's all.
As a veteran of bowl games being played in baseball stadiums, Dan,
yes,
I have some familiarity with sod that is not up to par.
Yes, right.
Whether it was the Phoenix Bowl, where for some reason they opened the roof just before it started to rain after warm-ups, and then the teams came out and the turf was all wet and just coming up.
I remember that.
Everyone had to change shoes.
Talking about it.
And they didn't even have like the right shoes because it wasn't supposed to rain, and it wasn't going to make a difference anyway because the grass was so bad. Or Yankee Stadium in December.
Well, I thought, didn't one of them have a dome that was supposed to be, that they could have had closed if they knew it was going to rain and they didn't expect it was going to rain? That's why the roof was open.
They had it closed the entire pregame.
Right.
And then opened it because I think somebody was parachuting in.
No, that's right.
And then it rained after the players left for warm-ups to get that done in the anthem, and then they came back out. But the point is, it's not about an advantage. It's about just the quality of the game and the safety of the game that you would think the NFL, as you said earlier, of all leagues and entities, would have no issues with. Because we also hear that in the international games, right? When they go play on the soccer pitches or they're playing in Mexico City, wherever they're playing, sometimes that grass isn't up to speed, and it's a problem then. But here, stateside, in one of the historic venues, you would think they would have it figured out.
Well, somebody texted earlier that this time for the Brazil game, the NFL literally brought in the turf piece by piece. I don't have any idea how you do it, but I guess you can do that scientifically. And I don't know if there are any complaints about that. I don't remember there being any complaints about that this time, but I'm not sure. Texter Nick in St. Paul, always love how they have random Parks and Rec city worker guys mowing the lawn in very sketchy fashion at Soldier Field. Classic folklore, and one of the many reasons I see the Bears need to stay at Soldier Field. Speaking of that,
along those lines,
is there breaking news there? That's what a couple people have texted. What have I missed?
Well, hold on. I thought you were pulling it up. Let me pull up the tweet.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It looked like you were pulling it up, but Kevin Warren just sent like an open letter, and I'll try to pull it up on the fly here.
All right.
Basically saying
they're gone.
It's Arlington Heights.
Yeah,
we're focused on Arlington Heights. We're looking to Arlington Heights. Let me pull up the letter here.
Let me. As you look for it, I think a lot of people are still skeptical. They think, well, they're playing the game. You know, the Bears. This is they know the way the Bears have to play it to ultimately get the best offer that Chicago can come up with. I think the ship has sailed. I don't think Chicago has in it any chance to come up with a much better offer than it already has. And I think what eventually you're seeing, and because I think deep down at the start, Warren wanted to keep the team in the city. It makes sense for a million reasons.
Of course, yeah.
It's the Chicago Bears, right? But obviously a lot of stuff has happened since then where I think he's almost been left with no choice. Plus the Arlington Heights thing, the land they own, they have a chance to turn it into, I think, an even better version of Ziggyville.
Yes.
Because Arlington Heights is a lot more developed area, northwest suburbs of Chicago. It's like close to everything, for God's sake. And they are going to be able to turn that into a mecca of shops, malls, perhaps. Who knows what else? Restaurants, etc. Maybe apartments, condos, a whole bit. So I think the ship this time has sailed. I don't think this is more posturing by the Bears.
326 acres is the land that you're talking about there. I'll just read you a little bit of it. We are partnering with political, labor, business, and community leaders across Illinois to develop a plan for property tax certainty and a fair contribution toward essential infrastructure that will benefit the entire community. Arlington Heights is the only site within Cook County that meets that standard. It allows us to better serve our fan base and deliver a truly transformative and elevated game day experience. Moving outside the city of Chicago is not a decision we reached easily. This project does not represent us leaving.
Yeah.
It represents us expanding.
Now it's nicely written. Nicely put together. Yeah, it's Kevin Warren. Yeah, I think that's it. I think it's finally going to happen. I never thought it would, but I think it's finally going to. And
I like this, though, by the way, at the end, because you got to turn it back to football. Right now, though, it's time to bear down. Have fun tonight as we celebrate the 40th anniversary of the 85 Chicago Bears Super Bowl championship team.
Well, in all honesty, getting back to the conditions of the field at Soldier Field, I think it probably should be a factor regarding Darisaw. I really do. If their experts, the Vikings experts, get there and say, yeah, it looks awful, but it ain't that bad. It's not as bad as it looks. Then that's another story. But if they think that is an issue, I'm not saying you literally sit Darrisaw for that reason. But if he's already listed as questionable, which means 50-50, maybe that's the thing that tips the balance, because it is about the long season. As much as I say you should win this game, you should be better than the Bears at this point, even on the road, and you want to get off to a good start. You have to, I think, consider every factor given the significance of this player. You're talking about your damn left tackle. Let's break here. We'll get caught up. As I mentioned, Peter Bursich will join at about 4:30 this afternoon. I've got some rules changes to discuss, and we certainly need to review, at least for a minute or two, the absurd nature of last night's comeback by the Buffalo Bills on Sunday night.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo! Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Life moves fast. A new home, a new baby, a new chapter. But without an estate plan, your future's still vulnerable. With Trust and Will, you can name guardians, start a trust, create healthcare directives, and more. All online in about an hour. It's attorney-designed, state-specific, and built to protect what you love. Plans start at just $199, and every plan is safe, secure, and kept completely private. From families with young kids to adults caring for aging parents, Trust and Will makes it simple to take control, without a law office, paperwork stress, or court delays. Go to trustandwill.com and use code RADIO to save 20%. Start your plan today. Don't wait for life to force your hand. Estate planning is one of the smartest, most loving things you can do. Trust and Will is an online estate planning service. See website for details.
Trust and Will.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Anyone else feeling hungry? Because Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You could stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, mozzarella sticks and marinara, or brew pub pretzels with white cheddar beer cheese. Or you could spice things up and try some unexpected combinations like dipping chicken wonton tacos in their honey Dijon mustard. The choice is yours. The Ultimate Trio is the perfect way to hit all your cravings in one plate and turn appetizers into an entree. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. That's eating good in the neighborhood.
Talk about stepping up.
It's time to level up your game. Introducing the all-new ESPN app. All of ESPN, all in one place. Your home for the most live sports and the best championship moments.
The electricity is palpable.
Step up your game with no annual contract required. It's the ultimate fan experience. Level up for more on the ESPN app or at stream.espn.com. Sign up now.
Football, stay tuned.
Man.
You can join me on Guardsy tonight, Gray's Food Hall, for a season kickoff watch party. Drop by starting at 7 to catch the Purple as they open up the season against Chicago. They've got great food and a ton of prizes to give away every single quarter, including tickets to the home opener. Get the full details now at KFAN.com, keyword calendar. See you at Gray's Food Hall tonight at 7.
Cronin 5 minutes ago, several members of the field crew at Soldier Field are surveying the turf right now and placing a sand/seed mix in areas that need to be filled on the playing surface.
The stories a stadium can
Can't
tell.
make it up. What could possibly go wrong? A few hours before your opener, the field was resodded, she reminds us, after a stretch of 5 concerts. at the end of August, in which I think the total attendance was 250,000 individuals. Not each concert, but for the 250,000 is what the Twins get in about 3 months, isn't it? At this point?
This season,
Late
yeah.
in the season, that's for sure.
I got an email from a concert insider from Chicago.
Okay.
I won't use his name, but he said, last week my sister came to Chicago, attended both the Oasis concert and the Lumineers. She mentioned there was a major difference between the two concerts, and her only conclusion is that those concert goers that attended My Chemical Romance are to blame, as that concert had a long rain delay and ended much later than all the other concerts over the Labor Day weekend.
Yeah. It all kind of fits together. Hold on a minute here. This is from like a minute ago via X. President Trump has announced that a National Guard unit will be leaving Skokie, Illinois for Soldier Field within the hour to tamp down portions of the field service. The president has vowed that through his leadership and to the work of the National Guard, the field will be in perfect playing shape for tonight's Monday night opener. Can you rule it out? I certainly don't think
I rule nothing out.
That you could.
It's the Minnesota Sports Calendar of Calamity.
Yes, it is that time again, as brought to our attention by our good friend Dan Minnesota. On this date in the year 2000, after being called to the NBA offices by the principal, David Stern, Glenn Taylor admits to the secret agreement with Joe Smith. All this is, of course, back in the news 25 years later because the Clippers are now under investigation for the possibility of another very significant, actually more significant it would be, circumvention of the salary cap. I love the quotes from this story from 25 years ago. This is the Glenn Taylor quote. After returning home to Mankato after visiting the principal's office in New York. Certainly I'm concerned.
Is that Rocco Baldelli? That's a Rocco quote.
It's true that I had an agreement with Joe. If it's a mistake, it's my mistake.
Sorry, KFAN.
And of course, the mistake was that it was made in writing. A 1999 document prepared by Smith's former agent, Eric Fleischer, to offer Smith a multi-year contract that would begin with the 2001-02 season. Smith had joined the Wolves in January 1999, played under 3 one-year contracts, publicly adhering to a rule that requires a team and a player to wait 3 seasons before he can be signed without regard for the salary cap. The violation part is you can't already have a longer agreement in place as if you sign these one-year deals, we're going to take care of you. That is a circumvention of the cap. That is a violation, I guess you could say. Basically, what we did, Glenn Taylor said, we talked about the future. The agreement called for a number of things to be phased in each year. We agreed on different scenarios of what his market value would be. You'll notice that his approach is a little different than that of the Clippers owner.
Yeah.
What's his name?
That's Steve Ballmer.
Steve Ballmer, who's already done one interview in which he said, "Not so fast, my friend, we are innocent. We did nothing wrong, and I have a sneaking suspicion, ultimately, because of plausible deniability, and because he's not stupid enough to put any kind of backdoor agreement in writing, there's a good chance he might get away with it." Now, the NBA has now hired a big shot law firm. In fact, I think it's the law firm that represented A-Rod and Laurie in the battle against Glenn Taylor for control of the team.
I saw Dane Moore tweet about that.
Is that right?
You're
Okay.
absolutely right.
And I guess what I'm saying is they seem pretty good at their job. So if there's maybe there is something that they can find. But can you imagine what that drive back to Mankato was like for? Not that Glenn made it. I'm sure he had his driver, but or maybe his wife drove him. I don't have any idea. Maybe they had lasagna when they got home. I'm not
sure. I think it's worse so if you're just sitting in the passenger seat or in the back. At least the drive, you can stay focused.
You know you're doomed. There's no point in denying it. It's in writing. So you got to come back with your tail between your legs after you get, I'm sure, just excoriated by the commissioner. Remember, that was originally a loss of 5 draft choices.
Yep.
Taylor had to go away for a while. The ostrich, Kevin McHale, had to go away for a while.
Yep.
Why those were the ones? I think part of it was they decided, well, we can't, if we do it to everybody, there's nobody left to run the organization, right? Because Flip was spared that part of it because somebody had to still run it, I think.
Yeah.
Don't you think that was at least part of the story?
And he was the head coach at the time. Yeah. Joe Smith.
And that's the other kicker.
Joe Smith.
All for Joe Smith. You could say in the case of the Clippers, at least it's for Kawhi Leonard.
Who got you Paul George, too.
Yeah, that's true.
At the time.
That's true. Now, again, their payoff hasn't been what they wanted it to be, but Kawhi Leonard is he's an all-time great player in his prime. Joe Smith was an average player. He just was. Even though, you know what was annoying about the whole Joe Smith saga looking back on it? You remember his nickname when he was here?
I don't think I do.
Well, there's no reason that you should. There were some players who called him the Beast.
The Beast.
And they meant it like, he's just relentless. And there's just no stopping him. Rebounding, guarding, all the little things he could do. Not to mention usually committing 2 stupid fouls 3 minutes into a game. And I always said, well, no, you're trying too hard to make him. Maybe that's why they entered into the illegal deal. And Taylor went along with it. Well, we got to sign the Beast long term. He's the Beast. But he was never that good of a player to be called the Beast. Right? The Beast should be saved for better players.
I will say, though, because to me, this always goes back to my defense, and I think your defense of the Gobert trade a little bit, in that those were the types of guys that we could attract back then.
That's true.
We had a hell of a time. Free agency was different back then.
Very
it
much
just
so.
was. There wasn't
we
super
were flyover
teams.
Country.
There weren't sign-in trades that happened all the time. Yeah. And it was, I think Minnesota just reminded us recently of, the big Kevin Garnett trip to go try to get Michael Finley to come here, who again was
who we didn't get. Yeah.
But he was a good player.
Good player.
I wouldn't say he
better
was
than Joe Smith.
Better than Joe Smith.
But not a great player.
But not transformational.
No.
But those were the types of guys that we were trying to get to come here because we had no chance with, the big guys.
Correct.
The really good guys. But we could get those other tweener guys that were solid, that could help here a little bit.
Yes.
And that's where, and even then we still couldn't get them. And so that's where I will always defend the Rudy trade, because even though now it seems like an attractive place to come and people like it a little bit more, and they're obviously in a good spot organization-wise, it's not the easiest thing to get people to come to Minnesota.
No. Kyle from Isanti, is it called Soldier Field because the grounds look like the Battle of Gettysburg? Which is a good line. Not to be confused by that from Dave from Rosemount. MAGA, making America's grass great again. Just got to add an extra G, and it works. Top 5, are we going to have one?
Oh, we could. We could do a top 4.
Let's do it like a quick mini. What do you think? What do you want to tease?
I'm sure I can come up with something in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, do the best you can.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
This is Julian Edelman from Games with Names. Applebee's just cooked up the ultimate option play with their new Ultimate Trio deal. You can choose from 3 of their delicious appetizers and pair them up with 3 sauces for just $14.99. Craft your perfect trio from over 80,000 different combinations in this flavor-packed plate built for one, or to share if you're generous. You could stick with the classic pairings like boneless wings and buffalo sauce, or you could spice things up and try some unexpected combinations like dipping chicken wonton tacos in their honey Dijon mustard. It's time to head to your neighborhood Applebee's or order online today. That's eating good in the neighborhood.